Hello everyone, I'm Francesca and my project is on sexual violence and rape within the United States and Ethiopia.
Sexual violence and rape has come a long way since the beginning of time. The Code of Harambe was one of the earliest sets of written laws, which was considered the rape of a virgin as property damage against her father. For a long time, rape was considered a property crime against the victim's husband or father. It wasn't until around the 11th and 12th centuries that rape actually began to be considered more as a violent sexual crime against the victim. At the end of the 13th century, it was allowed to prosecute the rapists if the family chose to do so. Early American colonies thought that if it was for 10 years old or older and against her will, then it was rape. Women of color were completely disregarded in this, as if they were a slave or any other color than a white American, then they would be not prosecuted at all. Now, nearly 100 years later, over 100 years later, the anti-rape movement is significant. We have laws and we have a month, April, designated to Sexual Assault Awareness Month since 2001. And we have the Me Too movement now, which is really against sexual violence and assault and rape in this country and for all countries. It doesn't matter your race, your ethnicity, your anything. We're all equal and we should all have justice for ourselves. Like I said before, women kept this to themselves and truly it ruined their self-image. It wasn't even considered rape unless they were under 10 years old, and it was a crime for their husband, not even for themselves. They weren't considered a victim. So now women are so confident, and we speak about our story and we share with others to make everyone aware of what's going on, and we're much stronger now than we were back then, and it's much appreciated now that we can share our story and we can ensure that this doesn't happen to women. Sexual violence affects women disproportionately because in countries that are underdeveloped, it is much harder to control these types of things, that it's happening all the time, and women of color especially are being disregarded, like just like how it was back then. I mean, in this country, in the United States, it's much more talked about, it's much more, open, and we could fix it. But in countries like Ethiopia, they can't control it as much because they're underdeveloped and they don't have the resources that we have in the United States. Rape was once looked down upon and women would hide it from the public. It was something that you didn't speak about. But now there's shows and movies and it's all over the news that we have to prevent this from happening to women, and not just in our country but all over. The socio-cultural factors which make sexual violence a problem for women in the United States and Ethiopia are the factors within their social environment, influencing the likelihood of rape to occur. In the United States and in Ethiopia, cultural norms like masculinity and male honor can create a problem for women and sexual assault or rape. This is due to the men feeling more powerful and allowing them to feel like what they are doing is not a problem. The larger patterns of violence in this society is linked to sexual violence occurring as it encourages male aggressiveness and dominance. These cultural and social norms devalue women and value male dominance, which creates a scenario for sexual violence to occur. Children and younger women in general also have a higher chance of being raped. In Ethiopia, like I had mentioned previously, women are typically looked at on a lower level than men due to their cultural beliefs of gender roles and their economic standpoint. This negatively affects their well-being due to the inequality presented from their society. Women in the United States are fighting to become more equal to men, causing their well-being culturally to not be as much of an issue as it is in Ethiopia. Women are still pushing to have more things changed, but there has definitely been some improvements throughout society in working towards creating equality. The Me Too movement, for example, is one way women are fighting to change how society has been in the past and for other cultures. This has shown that women in the United States are not afraid to stand up for what they believe in, unlike the women in Ethiopia who are looked down upon for doing so. This makes it much more difficult for the women in Ethiopia to stand up for themselves.